Building your first AI workflow. In the last lesson, you learned the theory. Now it's time to build something real. In this lesson, I'll walk you through how to create a multi-step automated AI-infused workflow using Zapier and some Google tools. You'll see how to go from a simple form submission to having a personalized response email and a professional project brief ready automatically. First, a quick note on the tools, Google and Zapier. If you're using a Google Workspace account, you might know that Google has its own internal automation features, so you could build a version of this simple workflow right inside Google. However, we're using Zapier for a reason. Eventually, you will want to connect apps outside of Google, like a CRM, a project management tool, or a payment processor. So Zapier is the universal adapter that lets you connect thousands of different apps, not just Google's. Learning this interface now sets you up for future success. So now let's start out by using Zapier. And if you remember earlier from the earlier lesson, Zapier has an AI Copilot that can help you build the structure of your workflow just by describing it. And if you want to try that, you can paste a description like this right into chat. So over here in Zapier, we have our chat window that allow us to paste in a prompt. And our prompt in this case is going to be, when a new response is received in Google Forms, use ChatGPT to write an email response and create a draft in Gmail. Then use ChatGPT to write a project brief and create a text document in Google Docs. Okay, so we're going to use Copilot here in Zapier to build out this for us. Now you could do it manually, and once you get used to using Zapier, you may want to do that. But we'll just, for the speed of this course, we'll go ahead and let Copilot build out our structure for our workflow. So what it's doing right now is just looking through the applications that we need, verifying that it can create those things. Then it's going to ask us, do we want to go ahead and continue with the Zap editor? So yes, let's go ahead with the Zap editor. This is the part where you could drag and drop manually what your trigger is going to be, which is the form getting filled out, and then what the actions would be after that. But right now, our AI Copilot is building this out for us. We are literally using AI to help us build an AI workflow. So here we go. It's building out. Let's see what we got so far. It's looked at the trigger, which is the Google Forms. It's then added a ChatGPT step for us. It adds a Gmail draft for us. It's still writing things out and making it up for us. Okay. And let's see what we have. It says it has an error, probably because it needs us to log into something. So let's see what our error is. Oh, there we go. Sign into Google Forms. So now let me sign in our Google Form, to my Google Forms, so that that actual step will be completed. All right, I signed into my Google Forms. And so now it's setting up the step 1, which is the trigger. And then I'll walk you through the other connections that we'll make as well. It's finishing up. Okay. It's still configuring. It's configuring the forms. So it's going to do as much as it can without my intervention. Again, we're using AI to build an AI workflow. And so whether you're using Zapier or you're using Make or another tool, most of them now have AI built into it so that you have to do even less work. So don't worry about having to code or do things complicated, because even when creating an AI workflow, you will likely have AI built in to help you walk through it. So let's check in to see what our AI is doing in building our AI workflow from the simple prompt that we gave it, saying, this is what we want to do. We want, when a form is completed, we want to write an email using ChatGPT. We want to draft an email and place that in our Gmail using ChatGPT as well. So let's see how it's going. It's still working. It's going through this. And now this is something that I've been doing for years myself manually, but now you have AI in your AI. And it looks like it's about done and ready for testing. So let's stop letting the AI run things now. We'll go through each step to let you see what each step does and what you'll need to do to configure the parts you need to make sure that what is created by AI is placed in your proper Gmail account and also in your Google Docs folder. So what I'll do now is I'll close off Copilot, put it to the side for a moment, and let me actually make this bigger for you so you can see. There we go. All right, maybe not. It'll look better if it's smaller for you. So let's just leave it regular size. Okay, so step one, new form response. Now, right now, it already saw my account and it saw the forms that I have. This isn't the form I want. I want to go to a project inquiry form. So if you're connected to your account, it'll see all your forms. So in this case, we're looking at our Google Forms, and there's a form we want to have, and we can go to the next step, and we can test this trigger to see. And so we're going to hit test. It's going to go out and say, oh yeah, we do have a form response. We can use this form response in our continued testing. So we'll continue with that record that it found. All right, so the next step, on to ChatGPT. We want to write an email. So it's connected to my ChatGPT account. The action event is write an email. And we're going to go to configure. And in that, we want to write a professional email response to form submission. Now, this is something we could have put our own prompt in, but let's see what the AI already put in for us. The email's responded email is responded email. It's looking at step one and getting the response. Provide a courteous acknowledgement of their submission and let them know we'll be in touch soon. Let's change that to the response we want because they submitted a project request. So let's change that prompt. Let me move this window out so you can see it from behind my bubble here. All right, so it's going to be from, let's say it's from Lee at Content Monsta. That's my company. And let's change this prompt. And we're going to make sure that when we change it, we fill in the field. So here's our new prompt. You're a helpful assistant. Write a short professional email response to, we'll fill in name, acknowledging their interest in service type, also filled in. So let's replace name with, and I'll hit backslash. This is in a Zapier function that lets me look at the previous data it already saw in step one. So let's see, replace name, and we should have their name. We can just search here for name. Okay, so full name, that was in our form. So replace name. So it says, write a short professional email response to name, acknowledging their interest in, we want to find this service types. We'll take this out and we'll put in, we'll look for service type. Okay, here we go. Which service are you interested in? That's in our form. And then we have all we need in our prompt. Now let me peek out a second and show you the form that we're actually connected to help it make more sense. All right, this is the actual project inquiry form that we connected to. So this form has your email, their full name, what service are you interested in? That's what we connected to fill into the prompt automatically. Describe your problem. This is so that we give enough context so that the person filling this form out gives us enough context so that the AI can write a project description brief for us. So they're going to give us this information. Now we know who they are, and we're going to know what they need so that AI can automatically respond intelligently with email and give us a project brief based on what they gave to us. So they're also going to tell us their target audience and what is their estimated timeline and budget. Now, I've already filled one of these forms out, so we'll be able to use that in our test here. So let's go back to Zapier and finish setting up these steps. All right, so we're back in our write an email step. So we have put in our prompt, we fill in those items. The tone, let's just say our tone is going to be neutral, maybe not so formal, but neutral. The body type, we can do plain text. It'll be easier and clean. We'll use GPT-4 Mini. Let's upgrade that to GPT-4. Depending on what model you want to use, you can go up to 5, 6, whatever model is current right now. And we'll just hit continue. And we'll do a test. All right, so right now it's going out to ChatGPT with the data from the form, and it's going to write an email, and it says, okay, hello, Lee. Thank you for reaching out, expressing your interest in marketing strategy. That's what was filled in the form. We appreciate your inquiry and would be happy to provide more information or discuss how we can assist you further. Let us know if you have any specific questions, blah, 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 regards. Okay, now this part that says regards, your name, your position, you can fill that in your prompt so your prompt finishes this email. But it also will put this as a draft in this case, my Gmail account, but I could always update my signature line before it's sent. So we'll just hit continue because now we know that that part of the process works, and it will create a draft in my Gmail account. So in this case, I'm going to connect it to my operations account. It'll go there. I don't want to put it in my own account right now, but you could put it whatever account you want to connect it to, because Zapier has my accounts connected. It will go to that particular account and create a draft there. So let's just hit continue. And it wants to see what other fields are here. So we'll just say to, and this will be to the person in the form, which is the respondent. There's that. Don't need to CC anybody. Subject, we'll just say, thank you for your project request. And then it'll be from operations, and from name, we can just say Lee at Content Monsta. It's good to have a real name there. Body type is plain. And then the body comes from the previous step. The previous step was when ChatGPT went out and wrote the email, right? So let's hit / here, and we'll go to our previous step, which was write an email. So ChatGPT has done that, and the body is right here. All right. So to be clear, what's happened is, let me make sure this went in there. Okay. Oh, I put it in twice. Okay. Once. What's happened is, the previous step was, hey, ChatGPT, write an email. And then this step is Gmail, create a draft. Create a draft with what? With the information from the previous step. That's the body. Add a signature. It could be my default signature for operations. That's already in there. It's looking at my Gmail account and figuring this part out. And then we'll just hit continue. All right. So now it knows I can do a test step. I'll hit test. It's going to go into my Gmail account. Going to create a draft, and right now it's confirming that it's done that. Let me jump out to my Gmail account and give you a peek of what actually was created over there. All right, look at that. This is in my Gmail account. It created the draft for me. Now I didn't, clean up this signature part in my prompt, but you can do that. And then look at this. So what's happened is automatically the person filled the form out. And then we had OpenAI or ChatGPT look at the form parts and fill in things like marketing strategy and other things based on what they're looking to do. Now, we can put as much in that prompt as we want for it to pull out of the email, out of the form to put into the email to make it more and more personalized. And so now we'll jump back and we'll go to the next step, which is to create a project brief also based on the form they filled out. Before we go further, let's recap. All right. The first step was the Google form was filled out by the customer. That was a trigger. And then ChatGPT. Next, it took the information from the form. It wrote an email. Third step, Gmail drafted an email based on the information that ChatGPT wrote, which was based on the information from the form fill out. So now let's analyze that text and have ChatGPT write us a Google Doc that is a project brief based on all the previous steps. So let's go into this next step for ChatGPT. Let's expand that so you can see it better. All right, so the text to be analyzed has to come from the form, right? So let's go back to our original form. And the text to be analyzed is going to be the output from the first one. So we could just say, I think, we want to analyze everything. So let's just put in the step output. Let's also put in their email address. Let's put in what was the target audience. Let's put in the service they're interested in, their timeline, and the problem they explained. Okay, so now all this stuff is in the text to be analyzed. All right, so that's done. That's there. And so what else we want to use? We can say analysis type. Let's just, we'll do a summarize. We'll also use GPT, the latest one. Let's just for speed's sake, let's just still use 4 or 4.0, and we'll continue. All right, let's test this step. Now it's sending all the information from the form to ChatGPT, and it's going to summarize it. All right, so that's been done. It looks a little messy there, but now the next step is to make sure that it summarizes it and then puts that into a document. So let's continue. And the next step is it's going to create a document in our Google Docs from all that, and it needs to select the account. So let me select my account, and then we'll go from there. Okay, I've connected it to my own Google account. We'll go to our next step, which is the testing step. And the document name, we'll just call it project brief. And our content will be from the previous step, which is what was just analyzed. So that'll be the summary. All right, there we go. That's in there. Yep. And we'll put it in, let me just find the drive I want to put it in. We'll just put it in my Google Drive. And so you choose where you want it to go, and then continue, and we'll test the step. Let's see what goes into that. All right, this is the output we got. I'm not satisfied with that. The reason is because we told it to just give us a summary of the information. So now let's go back into Zapier and give ChatGPT more detailed instructions, more like a chat summary, to make sure it actually thinks about and gives us a full project. Now, I did this because I want to show an example of what happens if you let AI take over. What happened was AI chose in the Zapier Copilot to make this analyze text as the event, but the event we really want is a conversation. In other words, a conversation with ChatGPT. That allows us in the configuration steps to actually put in our message. Our message is our prompt. So let's put in this prompt that we would use for ChatGPT that says, act as a senior project manager and strategy consultant, and analyze the intake and look at the client data. And then from that, give us an output structure that's an executive summary, a problem statement from the form information, a strategic approach. So now we're looking more like what we would do if we were doing it manually in ChatGPT, and we're going to get a much more robust response out of that. Let me expand this out, because in addition to the message, which is the prompt, I also want to give it instructions. It says use data from the form, including the respondent's email, their target audience. These are things that I just basically hit slash, and I went to the form, and I added in those things that came from the form, such as the email address, their name, et cetera, et cetera. So now what we have is we have all the information that we need inside, and it comes from our prompt and from the form, and these are instructions that will be sent as a ChatGPT conversation. And so now when we test this step, it's going to send all that information to ChatGPT and give us a more robust project output. All right, that's much better. We ran our Zap again with the new instructions, and we got this project initiation brief. Now, this is based on the few forms that I put in, the few fields rather, that I put in that form. And it still takes into consideration what we know about our company, our fake company here. And it wrote out this executive summary, our problem statement, our possible approach, audience analysis, and next steps. Now, this would be much more robust if you had it connected to if your prompt had more information about your company, your real company. Also, when OpenAI goes to make that chat, if that chat is connected to your company, it knows more about what you really do and could give you more information on what you would do to respond to that particular customer. And you'd already be on your way to what your next steps are. Now, imagine if you have this tool available throughout your team, you could actually have this showing up the first time a team member sees that this form was filled out. The form gets filled out, this automation automatically runs, the email goes to the customer, the brief goes to your salesperson or to your project manager. They already have a full vision of what's going on in this inquiry. They have a vision of what the problem is with the customer. You know what your approach would be, and you already have your next steps mapped out. Keep in mind, once you create this once, it's done. The form gets filled out, and all this happens in the background, and you go from an email being filled out, a form being filled out, and your team knowing exactly what to do next within seconds. That is tremendous amount of time and money saved without having to go through email back and forth. And it also allows you to spread the knowledge throughout your company, because now if you have this pre-programmed into your prompt and it's connected to your knowledge base, or it's connected to your Chat GPT or Gemini instance that knows your company, if it knows your company, now this knowledge happens with AI and the automation in the background within seconds, and informs your team of a new prospect or a new project coming in with all this information already thought through. And it saves you a tremendous amount of time and money trying to figure out who just filled the form out, what should we do for them, what is their budget, what can we do for that budget. So much intelligence can be built into this AI process that when your project manager or when your leadership gets this brief, they know who inquired and what the next steps are. This is amazing. So here's the quick recap. The form triggers the workflow. The AI writes the email. The AI writes the brief into a Google Doc and saves the file. Here's your homework to build this exact flow. Using Zapier or Make, connect your Google form. If you already have a CRM like HubSpot, connect that. Then use the Copilot in Zapier or build your steps manually to connect the steps. Ensure you have your Gmail creating a draft and Google Docs creating a file. And then run a test submission. Once you see that email and that doc appear on their own, you will never want to go back to doing things the old way.